Welcome to the Activity Call Live. Your special guest hosts, Adam and Beth Katz, and Mike and Noelle Lewantowicz.
Good morning, Alliance Nation. This concludes the Lewantowicz Katz takeover of the calls. We've had a blast being part of these calls over the last few weeks, and appreciate Andy and Jane Albright giving us, trusting us to talk to their team. And we got some good stuff planned for you today. Continuing on the conversations that we had on Wednesday. We're just excited about opportunity and excited about where we are and who we are. It was interesting. I had a person on the call on a call last night. We were doing some text dial-in and got three-wayed into a conversation. And this guy who's been in the industry and has heard of the Alliance, and he was looking at another company. I'm not going to call him a competitor because I don't really believe we have competition. And his question was, why should I choose the Alliance over XYZ? And the answer was, to me, is very simple. It's just a matter of leadership and culture. And you can duplicate leads. You can duplicate the carrier contracts. You can duplicate payout levels, although nobody has the ARC. Nobody has anything close to what we have with the ARC and the CRM and our payout scales and everything like that. But you can duplicate a lot of the business aspects of it. But what you can't duplicate is you can't duplicate Andy and Jane Albright. And you can't duplicate an Andy Riddle and a Stephen Davies. And you definitely can't duplicate a Mike and Noelle Lewantowicz. And you can't duplicate the culture that Andy has created that allows us to build a business, not just from a corporate business perspective, but also to build a relationship and to build a team and to build a family where we look out for each other. Business is cold. Sales is lonely. But with the Alliance, you got people watching your back. With the Alliance, you got people rooting you on. You got people cheering for you. The philosophy of a rising tide raises all ships. I don't believe there's another company in the world out there that would do what Mike and Noelle did for Beth and I a couple weeks ago, where they said, yeah, come on up, check out what we're doing. This is Beth's notebook of everything that she got. I mean, it's just tabs and pages and unbelievable amounts of information that she got in the 2 days that she spent with Mike and Noelle in their office. And for them to be as transparent as they were, understand they have no skin in the game with how well Beth and I do. They don't override us. They don't get a bonus if we move to the next level. They did it because they love us. They want us to win. And Andy has created a culture where a rising tide raises all ships. And for that, Beth and I are eternally grateful, not just for you opening your office up and showing us some of the things that you guys are doing so that we can make some tweaks to our business plan and help get our team to the next level, but also just for the relationship that we've had with you guys over the last 25 years, actually. 1999 is when we met them. And, it's a special thing to have friendships and relationships like we've been able to develop with Mike and Noelle, and where money isn't the central figure. It's just we just love each other and want the best for each other. And so, Beth, why don't you kind of talk a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah. So, like Adam said, Mike and Noelle opened up their office to us. We were on the Alaskan cruise, and Noelle and I were having some conversations. Just another reason to make sure you're qualifying for Cabo, that you're on track, or you pick up the pace because you still got time. As long as you start now, like get going, and you can be on there too. But when you're in those environments, like that just relaxed hang out, we're going to have a good time. We're going to eat good food. We're going to laugh a lot. But we're also going to just kind of mix in that business stuff. And so Noelle and I were just having a conversation. I was like, hey, any chance, like we admire and respect you all so much, any chance I could see behind the curtain? And they're like, yeah, come on. And so that is a level of transparency that you don't get anywhere else besides the Alliance. But that is our culture that says, hey, case, copy, and steal everything. Like we find something that works and do that. So as we're talking today, I hope that you'll be thinking about, where am I in the business, whether it's day one, whether you haven't gotten your license yet, it's pre-day one, whether you've been around here for a while, whether you've gotten a team yet or you haven't gotten a team. There are universal success principles that you can take and apply at your level today. So always our call to action. Andy says now and right now is, what can you do now to get where you want to go? So y'all, I'm a note taker, and I followed Mike and Noelle and their staff around, and I took pages and pages and pages and pages of notes. This is my book report from those pages and pages and pages of notes, because Adam, he ain't got time to sit down and go through all that. So I had to simplify. I had to pull out the highlights. And so that's what I did. But it's been incredible conversations that we've been able to have when, all right, this is their thought process. How do we take it and put it to us? This is what they do here. How do we take it and put it to us? So kind of getting this ball rolling, Mike and Noelle, one of the things that just, honestly, I was expecting it when I went to your office, but to see it in practice is huge. One of the things that we've always admired about your business is how much you all track everything. You understand your business, inspecting what you expect, and what you focus on, that tends to grow. So kind of walk us through your thought process on, what are you inspecting? Why are you inspecting it? How do you track it? Those kinds of things.
Thanks. Thank you all. And we do have a great relationship from all these trips that we've been on and all the ups and downs of the business. And for you, everyone out there that's listening to this now or listening to this later, you're going to develop those relationships along the way. Just hang in there with it. Don't quit, don't stop, those kinds of things. I think that's the one thing we've done right. I know you guys are saying a lot of very nice things. Anything we've learned it from Albright, Andy, and Jane the whole way, and we've just taken a little pieces of that and tried to implement those into our business. I remember, I forget how long ago this was, where one of us, Mike or I, would go to the corporate headquarters every month for over a year. One of us would go and spend 3 or 4 days at the corporate office and learn from the staff that Andy put together, learn from Andy, and just kind of the same thing that Beth and Adam did. They asked if they could come. They wanted to learn some things. We're like, yeah, sure. We have no secrets, right? I mean, we really don't. And I don't think Andy and Jane have any secrets. It's like, who wants it? What are you going to do to get it? Yes, there are sacrifices. I mean, we live in Louisville, Kentucky. Adam and Beth live in Wilmington, North Carolina, right? So there are sacrifices to make to get that information and have that time. So we're happy to give it. Whatever we can to help the Alliance, to help the team grow. But we appreciate it. We've tried to do some things, and we've done some things. But this is not new to us or Albright. It's something called key performance indicators, right?
Yeah.
That businesses track. You want to talk a little bit about that?
I think so. I think we're going to talk about measuring stuff. And before I even jump into that, if you're new here, here's sometimes when we give a talk about how to measure things and how to track or what to adjust. Next thing you know, somebody says, oh my gosh, I need to stop booking my appointments and I need to stop running business so I can be better at measuring. So
don't stop that.
Because I see somebody's bubble popping up in their head. So I need to put the brake on everything. Everything's wrong. No, chill, Bill. Okay. What you got to do?
Not just Bill.
Yeah, and the other people too. So make a mess and start with action. And lean on people to guide you. But if you're just sitting there and you're thinking that, measuring is the secret to my success. No. Measuring will hone your progress. It'll help shape it. It'll help amplify your activity. But activity or measurement without activity is just a complete waste of time. So be very, very careful for anybody that's listening to this. Action first, measurement second. So with that said, as somebody that's even starting in business and you're just starting to book your first appointments, there's KPIs and a key performance indicator, right? KPI, key measuring activity. We call this the activity column. Okay, good. Well, how do you know how much you did? Well, you've got to have things that you measure. And so I think there's two things that we will address is what do you measure, how often do you measure it, and when do you talk about it? And so the first thing is there's certain things that you probably need to be measuring daily, certain things weekly, certain things monthly. And so I think that's really foundational. And the things you measure are simple things that you can count easily. We'll get into those, but I just think KPI is just very simple. It's things that you can measure. Now, I think Noelle and I were chatting earlier today, and she's got some insight. Do you want to start talking about that?
Well, I mean,
qualitative versus quantitative.
Yeah. So there's different things to measure, right? There's qualitative things, which are I've got this slide. I'll just bring it up as I'm talking. It's hopefully, can y'all see that? Adam and Beth, thumbs up on this. Okay, cool. So it's quantitative versus qualitative. So what does that mean? It's like quantitative is numbers based, right? It's countable. You can measure it. It's factual. How much? How many? How often? It's very like analytical in a sense. Data is gathered by measuring something like the number of dials, the number of connects, the number of sets, as an example, right? You can measure that. It's quantitative. And it's analyzed, you're thinking about it and looking at it by statistics, right? The numbers don't lie, right? We always say the numbers don't lie. You can lie, what is it, Adam? You can lie, but the numbers don't lie. What is it? What's the saying?
Liars figure, but figures don't lie.
There you go. I had it all wrong. Good thing you're on this call.
We also say you can't beat the numbers and the numbers can't beat you.
That's the one I was thinking. Yeah. And then qualitative is interpretation based. It's more descriptive. It's certain attributes, how, why, what, how do we get here kind of things. It's subjective in a way based on what you're looking to identify as an indicator. And then it's gathered through really observations and conversations, those kinds of things. And then analyzed by grouping data into different themes or categories. As an example, what's the excitement level in our office? How energetic is our culture? Those kinds of things are more qualitative versus quantitative.
Yeah.
So hopefully this made sense. I just put it together real quickly because there are different aspects to our business that we are tracking and measuring and paying attention to. And I think in any business, you really need to kind of pay attention, whether you're a personal producer and just starting out. You got to also track what's your energy level, what positivity are you putting into you, those kinds of things as well.
Yeah. And now, with that said, sometimes people are good at one side and not as good at the other. Some people like to lead with a story. We ask, how many dials did you make? And they say, well, my mom died last week. And back when I was...
It starts with, well...
let me tell you.
What had happened was.
And it's like, okay. So I think, first of all, recognize, very simple, when somebody's coaching you, being able to have some numbers and answer the numbers and just let them stand, because you'd be surprised. There's times when we got to look at the qualitative and there's times we got to look at the quantitative. And sometimes you're very emotive and you need to slow down and figure out, why am I so emotive? And looking at the numbers and getting perspective helps a lot.
And really, you're not bringing any emotion into the numbers. This is just what I did. This is what happened. And then getting the coaching to get better on that. So really, in the numbers, there's really no emotion involved. Now, maybe in the qualitative there is. But
or you might be feeling a lot of stuff, and maybe you might be feeling really good or really bad, but then maybe you need some insight on the numbers. So maybe we just even take a second and Beth, in a minute, we'll have you come back. We'll talk about maybe some of the things you saw in the office. But I think for anybody that's starting out, what are your KPIs if you're brand new? or if you're getting an agent started, what are the most important things for someone to measure? And I thought I had an activity book. I forgot to grab one. I don't know if my staff was watching.
There, Beth and Adam.
So going around our office is not right in front of me. But I'll say, hey, the most important things when you are a new agent getting started, number one is dials, right? Or I think we listed as calls on the activity book. And
there we go.
There we go. Okay. Yep. So we've got that first category. You see those, the hash marks, and it's how many dials are you making? And we'll focus on selling. So how many dials are you making to book appointments? And understand the dial is not elite. You might call him 3 times in a row and 5 times in one day, or whatever that is. You could have 15 dials, but we're measuring dials. We're measuring how many appointments. There we go. Thank you. There we go. So then we measure.
This one's a fresh one.
Sales dials, okay. And within that sales dials, then we're measuring contacts or connects. How many people did you talk to? How many appointments did you book? How many did you sit with? How many families did you help? How many applications did you write? And then we can get into how much premium, how many referrals. But I think even just on dial day, breaking it down to the most important 3 are dials, connects, and set. Now, in that, I think it's probably good next measure once I got somebody moving is like, hey, how many dials per hour? Because I'll have somebody say, well, I had a good dial day. It's great. How many dials did you make? 60. I said, how many connects? 10. How many did you book? 8. I said, well, how do you feel about that? I feel pretty good. I got 8 appointments. That's awesome. Well, how many time slots were you trying to fill? Well, I was trying to fill 14. I had 7 and 7. I said, well, you got 8 out of 14. I said, why'd you stop? Well, I was working so hard. I was like, really? I was okay. I was like, what time did you start down? Well, about 9. And what time did you stop? Well, about 2 o'clock. And so, oh, okay. So you were down from 9 until 2. So then I start to do my math. What I said, was like 60 dials and talked to 10 and booked 8. I said, so 9 to 2, that's 5 hours. That means you made 12 dials per hour. I'm like, that's pretty good. It's better than none. I said, what were you doing during the rest of that time? Well, I was dialing. And so I think, again, look at the numbers and having somebody that you'll share the numbers with to get perspective. And this isn't going to be a sales coaching thing, but there's a lot of things that need to be talked about. Like, what's the good news? Hey, you talked to 10 people out of $60. You booked 8 out of 10. That's amazing efficiency for what you talked with. I said, we just got to get you working more. So then it's like when you look at the numbers and have the conversation, can we be honest and can you get somebody who will be honest with you about what you need to change? I had a call from somebody yesterday, very emotional. And she says, I just need somebody to do ride-alongs with me. I was like, okay, well, tell me what's been going on. Well, I sat with 10 people that I knew and I wrote 8 applications, but these leads, I need somebody to show me how to do it with a lead. I said, well, how many people did you sit with? Well, I booked 2 and one wasn't there and the other one was there, but we had to leave early. I said, oh, wow. And just nobody loves me. I was like, okay. And so here's my analogy. She's really not looking at the data, but it's almost like she feels pain. But what she's trying to do is she wants to get a cast on her foot, but she's got a broken collarbone. I'm like, girl, I said, I could put a cast on your foot, but that's not going to help you. You have a problem booking appointments. You've proven you can help people. We got to fix the right thing. So now that you're getting this data, thank you for sharing. I said, by the way, it would help if you would share your numbers with us. So part of this is as you're new and you start to measure the KPIs. I've told people all along, this thing takes 3 pieces to be productive. Work, times leads, times communication. And so you got to do the work, you got to get leads, but on the communication, it's measuring the results and sharing it with someone that can help you. Making yourself visible. So many people, they're out there and they're not making themselves visible, which, Adam, that's like if you was trying to get good as a baseball hitter and I said, Bo, I got a great batting coach for you. You're going to love him. He's the nicest guy. He's a great singer and his name is Stevie Wonder. he's going to be able to help you with your baseball swing. What are you going to think?
Gonna think you're out of your mind.
What's wrong with Stevie Wonder? He's a really great guy. He'd make a great batting coach, wouldn't he?
Well, he doesn't play baseball, and he's blind. And
right. So you not sharing your numbers with someone that can see them and give you insight is like hiring Stevie Wonder to be your hitting coach or sales coach or whatever else. So heads up on that. So it's
also you're wanting, like, if you hire somebody that, or you're talking to somebody about it that maybe can't help guide you in the right direction, it's almost like you're wanting affirmations versus reality, or conversations on how to get better.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say the coach can't affirm what you did do. Mike did, in that example, he did affirm you did good. You set 8 appointments. You did good. It's just we need to get you more swings, so.
Yeah. I think in that same vein, so when you go to ask for coaching and you're presenting numbers, if you're asking for coaching, be prepared to ask for coaching.
And I think the coach also needs to know to be prepared to give those affirmations and not just slap them upside the head. I'm speaking from experience.
Yeah. And if you're a coach, I say, you know what? It's a balance. And you've got, as a coach, I've got to make sure I'm certainly recognizing all the good things someone's doing. And I have to decide how much coaching can their ego handle.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've broken a few eggs.
Sometimes you just put it on mute and you listen a little bit. Yell at somebody else in the room. And then...
I've been accused of being too direct and giving too much coaching. And sometimes I look back, I say, I wish I coached harder, and so I think if you're the one seeking coaching, understand the person you're going to. They may not be perfect, but I promise you they're trying to make you better. And so understand the spirit at which the coaching is being delivered to make you better. Sometimes we don't like what we're being told, but understand, the intent. And then when you do ask for coaching, please shut up and listen. If somebody asks, because I was talking to someone yesterday, I said, I'm about to give you some coaching. Are you sure you want it? Because I don't think you're going to like it. Oh, no, you can coach me. I think I got about 18 seconds in, and the yeah buts came out. But you don't understand. Blah, 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 blah. I just said, doesn't matter what their name was. So it was Joe or Bill. I said, Bill, I said, remember how I told you weren't going to like it? It only took you 18 seconds to tell me how much you didn't like it.
Not that. We do have a Bill on our
I know. I'm just making up names arbitrarily. But, okay, so anyways.
Adam and Beth, do you have any thoughts or comments on this, or what we've been talking about?
Well, I was thinking back to Mike's cast analogy. So my mom recently fell and severely sprained her ankle, and they ended up casting it. And then they got her into a boot. Now they've got her into a brace, and she's going to physical therapy. And all of that is the process to get her better, but there's pain involved in getting better. And so just because something hurts, just because something's hard, just because it's outside of your comfort zone, doesn't mean it's not the steps that you need to take to get better. And running away from that kind of coaching because, oh, that stepped on my toes, oh, that hurt, oh, that's hard, that's going to be the barrier. That's going to keep you from getting where you want to go. And so just like any patient who's going through physical therapy knows there's going to be pain, any of these athletes we've been watching on the Olympics, they've gone through hours and hours and hours of training where it hurt because you have to break down the muscle before you can build the muscle up. All of that is part of what you get from finding that good coach who will inspire you, encourage you, guide you, correct you, kick you in the butt to get you where you're going to go.
Yeah. And, one of the big things when seeking coaching is, one, seek information from someone who can provide you the information. There are a lot of people out there who have opinions, and they're typically the ones who are doing the least amount of work. They have the most opinions to share. Very theoretical. It's the ones that are outside of the convention hall while the convention's going on, the ones who are having their hallway seminars. So you want to be careful who you're actually seeking coaching from. So that's one big thing. And then the next big thing is, don't ask 5 people the same question. Because what are you actually doing? Are you really trying to find the answer? Or are you trying to find someone who will agree with the answer you've already come up with in your head? See, that is one of the danger points of I love how Davey says it. He says, do you want coaching, or you just want an echo chamber? You just want somebody to echo back what an awesome person you are and what a great job you're doing, and you don't need to change a thing. But if you're not going to change anything, then you're not going to grow. And if you're not going to grow, then tomorrow's not going to be any better than today. And so, you're missing the whole point of the coaching. It's one of the big things I've realized, and that Andy has always taught, is finding that balance. And this is where coaching, for those of you who are coaching other people, this is where it's really more art than it is science. Because you'll have people come to you, and what they really need is a hug and reinforcement, and positive reinforcement, and being told it's going to be okay. And then you'll have other times people come to you, and what they need is a kick in the pants. And the hard part is, if you hug somebody that needed a kick in the pants, then they're never going to achieve their best version of themselves. And if you kick somebody who needed a hug, then you're breaking trust, you're breaking relationship, and it's like the cat that jumped on the hot stove. Yeah, he's not going to jump on a hot stove again, but he's not going to jump on a cold stove either. And you've hurt the ability to actually coach that person, and that is tough to balance. So you always want to be you always want to be asking enough questions to kind of get, where is this person coming from? Where are they in their thought process, and where are they in their emotional maturity on how are we going to coach this person? Yeah, Mike, I'm a lot like you. I've seen so many times where I chose the wrong path on the coaching strategy, and it did not help the agent become the best version of themselves and become the most profitable, effective agent that they could be.
So hey, guess what? If we as coaches aren't perfect, but if you can make sure you're not making irrational emotional decisions based on one coaching session, and you come back seeking it and realize your coach ain't perfect, and neither are you, I said, you'd be in a good position. But I think it's really, I tell the agent and whoever's coming up to speed, it's your job to gather the data, present it, and seek the coach in a way that you want. Now, sometimes people are intimidated or scared, so it's our job as coaches to be welcoming, encouraging, and reminding to get people. So it is a two-way street. But hey, just remember, you as the agent, or it's your business. You are the CEO of your business. You are going to get fired if you don't deliver results. So who's going to fire me? Well, not me, not Adam, not Andy. Your lender is going to fire you. Like, your mortgage company, they're going to fire you. You're the company that has your note to your car, so they're going to fire you. Your spouse, they're going to fire you. So understand, we're not going to fire you. We're trying to help you stay employed by those people, but you need to work and get it done. So that's some of what I call just personal KPIs. But Beth, you want to talk about some other things? Oh, I know. Let's do this. We're still coming out of family reunion, and there are stories and craziness and good stuff happening. I just want to highlight, I got two things I'm going to highlight. One is a note Terry Edwards passed on from a guy, Luis Garcia, on his team. It says, I've been fighting the system for 2 years. Fighting. I think it means against it. And he says, but after conference, and what I learned from T. Edwards and Mia Fennell, I have been trusting the process and following a schedule this week and reading daily. And even though Hurricane Debbie caused some cancellations, I had a coaching session with Joshua Parker and kept plowing through, and I wrote 2 applications and got those submitted. So kudos to Luis.
Well, I have one thought. So in the book Atomic Habits, James Clear talks about you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your process. What does that mean? It means the goals give you the direction. It's good to have them. Make sure you have them. But it's the system or the process or the activity that helps you get those goals. And so the key is to focus. Yes, you want to focus on your goals, but you want to focus on the activity that's getting you to those goals and being consistent with that. And I love what he said about that. Made me think about it, because he said, I've been fighting the system. He's been fighting the process that Andy and Jane put together. And now he's seeing results from that. Now, stay with it. That's what I'll tell you. If you're on this call, stay with it, because you're going to have those days when you are frustrated and you don't want to track your numbers and you don't want to talk to your coach. Stick with it. Stick with Joshua. Stick with Terry and Tia. You'll get there. Okay. So anyway.
Yeah. Adam, Beth, you guys got a story you want to highlight? Anything big? I've got some more, but let's see if you got one that's percolated.
Well, I was just we're talking about tracking numbers, and Carolyn, who's a newer agent on our team, she was posted on our WhatsApp her activity. Yesterday she had a dial session, 217 dials, 29 contacts, 17 appointments. So she was at family reunion. She's got her ticket for NBC, and she's taking action.
I love
Bang Bang leads too, by the way.
Bang Bang leads, my buddy, John Davis.
Bang Bang.
All right. Hey, National Boot Camp. Okay. So let's get real about this. The dates are out there. October 18th, 19th, and 20th. That's a Friday evening, all day Saturday, Sunday wrapping up about 3 or 4. If you're just at family reunion, you're like, I got some good stuff here, and you haven't got a ticket, it's like to get there. Okay. It's a continuation of the process. I'm glad you came and had some things break through and you saw some good stuff, but committing to the process is what's going to get you there. I'm still committed to the process because I still need to grow and change. And I think it's like, for us, our productivity is a result of pursuit of never-ending growth and improvement. It's like not staying content and realize and I go into an event with what's the next thing I got to learn, what's the next thing I got to get better at, is part of what's there, and staying humble through that and recognize that's what got me there. And so I'm almost scared to not go because I'm afraid of deviating or losing a process that's been effective and helped me grow. So if you're there, hurry, hurry, hurry. That discounted deal is available till midnight, Sunday night. And maybe there's someone on your team that wasn't, didn't get to go. Please, please, please encourage them.
That's another thing, by the way, that's a KPI for us, is number of people that attended events. It's a KPI for the Alliance. It should be the KPI for you. Even if you're one person, maybe you can get one more there. Maybe you can double your business. You can, I'm not going to even say maybe, you can, if you want to, double your business in the next, 2.5 months, Adam? Say again.
I was going to say, watching you all track, because we were heading into family reunion, like you knew how many tickets you had, you knew how many tickets were assigned versus unassigned. So you were like, okay, we've got these tickets available that need to be moved. Who's leaning towards, who's leaning away from, like just that constant sense of, we need to get one more person. We need to get one more person. We need to change one more life by getting them. Who are we talking to? Who can we touch? And tracking that all through the process, knowing who's on payment plans first and who's made who's made payments. Because if you've gone into a payment plan, that's fine, but there's another payment due because you haven't paid for the ticket in full yet. So just tracking all of that all the way through. And as you're building your team, if you're a leadership, like that is an incredible measurement. That is the best indicator of the direction of your business, is the number of people you're going to get to NBC and watching it grow from event to event.
Well, you think about it like this also. It's, if you're going to college, you have to register for the next semester before the first semester is over. I remember our son Andrew was at UNC, and they were having to pick their roommate assignments for the spring semester and for next year's semester. And it was like September. They had only been on campus for 4 weeks, and they were already asking them for, okay, who you want to room with next year. These things build on itself, and you can't wait. You don't want to be the one always waiting to the last minute, trying to come up with last minute details and plans, babysitters, transportation. Airline tickets are a lot less expensive if you book them 2.5 months out than if you book them 2.5 days out. So plan ahead. Jane Albright is famous for the PPPPP, which is prior planning prevents poor performance. Make sure that you're planning ahead for that. And it starts by getting the most discounted ticket you can get, which we have, like Mike said, till Sunday at midnight. Why would you spend $3.99 or $5.99 for a ticket that you could get for $2.99 just simply because of inaction? Or you need to be there, you're going to be there. Let's go ahead and take care of the details early.
Yeah, that's big. All right, Beth, other observations you had from hanging out with us? What else you think is noteworthy that people should hear about?
So one, and this kind of feeds off of what we were talking about with coaching. One of the things I watched you all do was how you had patience with people, urgency with yourself. That you recognize when to slow down with somebody, when to speed up with them, when to cut bait and run. So kind of walk through that process of how have you developed the mindset to, like, we all have huge business goals and we get people around us and we think, you're going to do this and you're going to do that and you're going to do that, and then I will have arrived. But you've kept the pressure on yourself so that you can love people. So walk us through that.
Well, I think one of the things to keep our mindset is our financial future is not based on any one person. It's based on what we do. So I think if we keep that in our minds, it's like, that's what I was talking about on the TWC the other day, I think. That it's no big deal if somebody comes in this business. It's really no big deal if anybody leaves. I don't want them to. But in order to control my thought process, I need to say it's no big deal. Maybe they'll come back later. That's not to say that I don't get upset. I do, right? Most of the time he hears about it. But I think keeping that mindset of our financial future is based on what we do and how many people we talk to and how many people we help. And we realize that we can't really help everybody. Now, coming back to the KPI, the key performance indicator, we just talked about the people at conference. Our time right now is mainly focused with the people that were at the event, talking to them, trying to help them get moving this week. We do have other people that were not at that event that have tried to get with us, and we're just like, we can't spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak some more to that?
And I think, look, we have to match intensity and investment with what people are bringing to the table. If somebody's invested more in themselves and they're bringing in more intensity, we got to bring our investment back into them and our intensity with them. And so I think the first thing is, hey, if somebody's taking the time to attend an event and they're present and they're serious about getting better, that's the kind of person that we can spend more time with. Because guess what? First thing is, I can't teach everything to a new agent. I have to rely on a system in order to grow the business. So the first thing is, if I hire an agent and they can't see that they're going to have to leverage several resources, which our conference is part of that, to train them, if they don't see that and they want me to do everything personally, I say, ooh, that's not good. That's going to be a disaster.
It's also those people. It's not to say we don't help those people. We help them go here to get that information, right? We don't spend the time.
Correct. We spend a lot of time helping people one-on-one, but it's an and, right? I need you to be here and I will help you one-on-one. And so as a leader, it's both. So this is where it's like, okay, so now I have choices. And so somebody will say, well, I want more of your time. I said, great. And so somebody was texting me there, and I told my assistant, just let them know I will get with them. the tone wasn't, well, because you didn't show up, well, Mike's not going to talk to you for 3 weeks. No, it was like, hey, look, Mike's busy helping a number of people coming off conference. And yes, he's going to get with you. It's probably going to be close to Thursday or Friday, but he's going to get with you, reassuring them and not telling them why, but just nicely.
What is the saying? I forget, low maintenance, high drag?
Okay.
What is it?
High speed, low drag.
High speed, low drag. That's what we're looking for.
We're looking for high speed, low drag, or high production, low maintenance, or high production, high maintenance. Okay. And then we've got, I'm okay with low production, low maintenance, but the low production, high maintenance, that's scary. Okay. All right. But the ones that are attending, they're lower maintenance if they're attending events.
Because they're ahead of the game, because they've poured into themselves, because they're investing in themselves, even if they're not doing anything yet. That's a high priority for us, and we have a lot of patience with that, because we know what it takes to get to an event. We know what it takes to get outside your comfort zone and to meet new people and to do things,
Yeah, and I think impatient with ourselves. I promise you'd be hard pressed to find someone that's put more time in to work this week on my team than me. So it's like we could match up schedules. So I'm going to be impatient with myself. I know that this time frame from when we left Sunday through this next week is extremely critical. I haven't had nights out planned. I've been on the phone till 5, 6, probably 6 or 6:30 or 7, having a quick dinner and on the phone again because I'm impatient with myself. Now somebody could say, "Oh my gosh, you work on it." Oh, at times. And this is a time when high intensity is required from us. So impatience with ourselves is critical. And then guess what? It's because that we do get the benefit of taking time off and stepping away. But there's times when it's showtime and performance time. So I think that's really critical. So I won't work harder than I won't expect somebody to outwork me. You're going to have to pack a lunch. And that's where I'm impatient with myself when it is working time. And so if you're wondering, it's like, that's how we think. And so because of that, because we are building several relationships in width and in depth, I have choices. So if one agent's like, well, I could be really nice. I don't say, "Oh, shut up, stop your whining." No, I'm just like, "Man, you're a good person. I love you. You're adding a lot of value to the team." And I shorten that conversation and I go talk with someone else because we're just going to let that person be themselves and spend time elsewhere because I've got other choices instead of just trying to beat this person into submission or trying to fix them on something I can't fix, be really nice. I got an agent who I think is really sharp. Started to make some great things happen, like from the interview to moving fast. And all of a sudden, she had a really close family member die. Had to put mom in a nursing home 3 days later. And then dad, who's already in a nursing home, had to be rushed to the ER. I was like, all I can do is be nice. I can't change her circumstances. That's a lot of heavy stuff. But because I got other people to work with, I'm not like, well, what am I going to do now?
What is it? Ready, willing, and able?
Yeah.
You need to be ready, willing, and able. Those are the ones we want to work with. And in this case, she's not ready because she's got all this stuff going on. She's willing for sure. And she's able.
Yeah.
She's just not all three. So that's what we're looking for, ready, willing, and able. And Andy talks about that a lot.
And we're not mad by that, right? So it's not emotion. Very patient with her situation. Good person. Think she can be a massive winner. Just kind of chill.
And trying to get her team started.
Yeah.
Get a name from them.
Right.
All right.
Beth, what else did you pick up?
Or Adam or Beth, any comments or anything? Thoughts on that?
Well, I think you nailed it in the sense of you got to meet people where they are. And, a lot of people have life going on and people are in different seasons in life. We have both, started our businesses. When we first met Andy and Jane, we didn't have kids. We were dual income, no kids. We were the dinks. And, then we had kids. Beth quit her job. We had kids. And we had that season of business with small kids middle school kids, and now through college and out of the house. And each level, it's a different way of managing your time and managing your schedule. And so I think it is important you understand where people are and clarify what they're trying to accomplish. Because I think it's also part of our job to be like, there are going to be seasons you're going to have to work harder. There are going to be seasons, where you got to define what you're willing to do. So I am curious because Mike and Noelle, I always looked at you guys as the perfect blend of business and family. And your kids had crazy schedules. All your kids were swimmers with 5 a.m. practice times and things like that. I know your eldest daughter, Emily, actually went through a Division I swim scholarship, so you were able to balance the family with 4 kids and the growth of your business and your agents and all of that. Can you talk a little bit about, how you were able to manage that out and prioritize when to do what and things like that? Because I think a lot of people struggle, especially when it comes to getting to conventions and other things. It's just like, well, you don't understand. I have this happening at home. And how were you guys able to manage all of that?
I think it just comes back to, and you can speak to this too, but I think it comes back to planning ahead for stuff. And when our kids were small, we had a family calendar where we would put our family stuff in. And then they also have access, they still do, to our calendar, our work schedules and what we have going on. And I think it's just planning ahead for those things. We also, when they were little, we had a bullpen of people that could watch our kids and help them out. And sometimes when we would travel to an event, we'd have 2 or 3 people coming in and out to spend the night with them. And it doesn't have to be one person. And that's one thing that we figured out a long time ago, because if somebody got sick, like our nanny or somebody that was supposed to stay got sick or hurt and couldn't, we still needed to get to that event, right? So I think that's key, is just learning to utilize other people and to plan that ahead of time. When you do have a family, when you do have small kids. And you're right, Adam, we didn't have any kids when we started this business. Our kids grew up in this. And so we had to learn how to make that plan ahead of time. It's the quadrant 2. If you know, what's his name?
Stephen Covey.
Covey's book, The Important and Not Urgent. It's the planning part of it.
Yeah. I think putting together, the number of people that can assist in watching kids. I felt like, the general manager of a baseball team putting together a pitching bullpen.
Well, he volunteered to plan the schedule for.
Oh, there's scheduling, but there's actually the recruiting part, right?
And recruiting, yeah. But we were scouting.
Yeah, we were constantly scouting, selling them on how nice our kids were and easy to work with, and we're looking for someone that's got great talent that we can get at a decent contract that wasn't too crazy, and having a number. We found one that was really good at cleaning, one that was really good at driving. We found just people with different strengths along the way. But we had more than one. And so that was a constant, and just like, hey, a baseball team, they're constantly adding pitching. We were constantly recruiting and networking for sitters and childcare to help out. So I think that was huge.
I do want to say this for people that are out there that you might be thinking, well, I don't have anybody where I live, or my family's all in a different location, or things like that. That's how we were. We moved to Louisville, Kentucky, and we didn't know anybody here. So I get it. And if you want to build a business, you're going to need some support and help, especially when they're young. And the other thing we did, Adam, and I'm sure you guys did this too, is we incorporated some of our kids' goals into our goals, and we made them a part of it. And we talked to them a lot. You can ask them. We talked to them a lot about what we were going to do when mom and dad did this and what they wanted to get out of it. We did all kinds of visuals on that. What do you call them? The boards, dream boards. Dream boards. We did those a lot, and I know you guys did too with that. But yeah, I think it's just being willing to say, okay, I have big goals, and yes, it's scary leaving your kids with somebody that you might not know. And it's also, you also can do that if you choose to do that, if that makes sense. We had some really great people that took care of our kids, and we're grateful for them. And we're still friends with them today, you know. And these are, you know, kids that are people that we recruited that didn't have kids. I'm thinking of a couple couples, and then they were like, well, we love hanging out with your kids, so we're going to have kids. And we're like, shoot, we want you to stay with us. But the other thing we did was, to our kids, we were like, hey, you better be sweet, pick up after yourself. You know, we want these people to come back. You know what I mean? So
in fact, it's funny because we talk, whether it's cleaning people or anything else. I mean, and it's not always been perfect. We had a cleaning person that freaked out one day and left in the middle because of something our kid or our dog.
Was our dog.
Our dog. Anyways, but guess what? It's never perfect. We laugh at stuff. Now, the quadrant 2 piece. One is constantly searching to add people. Number 2 was the time to plan, and a real, very, very quick thing, calendar. You got to manage time better than you manage money if you really value your time. And so the first thing was Sundays is a planning day, where we're laying out who's got to be where, when, and we still do that pretty well. Now we're down to 1 kid in the home, but bottom line is we still go through and lay out who's got to be where, when, and who's taking who, when, and laying that out for the week. It used to be more complicated, but we still do that. And then that quadrant 2 time and staying militant about that. Because the moment you don't do that, all of a sudden it's like you feel out of sorts. You got to put your foot. Hey, we screwed this up. Let's get back. And then sometimes, if we're traveling on Sunday, well, we're going to do it while we're traveling, or Monday night, or how we got to lay this out. So being militant about that. The second piece you talk about, we go into a calendar and kids. I want to take that back to business and being militant about certain things we do in running the business. So we have a daily huddle, and that daily huddle is at 8:45 a.m. This gives people on staff the ability to have gotten in, get some things going. But 8:45, we pull together. Typically, it's 15 minutes. Today, we were running a few minutes later. We might have spent 20 or 22 or 23 minutes, but we try to keep it in that 10 to 15 minute range. And each person has several KPIs that they're responsible for knowing. Like our assistant Sherry brings in, hey, how many apps were submitted yesterday, and what's the week today, and how many contracts went through for the whole hierarchy. So we're looking at that.
Who newly submitted.
And who newly submitted business, right? Who newly wrote business. So a few things that show up.
First time submitters.
First time writers of business. If Nick is on a recruiting staff, hey, how many interviews are booked? How many did I complete? How many am I moving forward with? And who is there a really sharp one that you like that he's excited about? Among other things that he's talking about. We're looking at, hey, highlights of things, of significant things that happened yesterday. But taking 15 minutes to recap keeps our staff all on the same page. We maybe identify a problem that needs some work. But at least, the discipline to do that every day.
How long have we been doing that?
We've been doing the daily huddle for 10 plus years. We've done it. I heard about it from other business people. So watch this. Some people say, is this something y'all made up? No, I've talked to other business owners that have highly effective growing businesses, and this is something that they do. And if it's a big enough staff, they may have several groups that do a daily huddle of whether it's 5, 10, 15 minutes, but it's daily. And it helps keep people connected, especially if you've got staff, right? So this isn't for you necessarily to do with all of your agents, but if you have a staff, or if it's you and your spouse, and you're looking at what are the things we're trying to track on a regular basis, that's there. The other thing, Beth, kind of what other things that you observed that you thought of, saw us doing, or maybe worth mentioning as we're kind of down to a few minutes here.
Yeah. So one thing is we love our acronyms. The power of a BAMFAM, booking a meeting from a meeting. As I watched you, the both of you, and Nick and Sherry, if they were talking to somebody, they immediately had the next time that they were connecting, and not just we'll talk in a few days, but I saw you all put things on calendars, or you'd say, Sherry, give this person a call, get them on my calendar, or that kind of stuff. why are you so passionate about, help everybody understand why you're so passionate about Bam Fam and the power that brings?
I think it's like we were talking about serving people. It's like if we don't write it down in our calendar and have a specific time that they know is a specific time and we know is a specific time, then we're gonna lose some. Like that might drop off, and we don't want to see anybody drop off just because now they may not be there, but then we try and get them back. That's some of the times you'll hear us say, "Hey, Sherry, Nick, get this person back on my calendar. They weren't there for what." We have that happen too, but we can control what we can control, and that's setting a specific time in our calendars. By the way, I mean, we get so busy talking to so many different people, our calendars fill up pretty quickly. So in order to have those specific time frames that they know we're going to call, and we know we're going to call them at that time, it's just so powerful to book a meeting from a meeting. I mean, doctors do it, dentists do it. I mean, it's not something the Alliance made up. We might have made up that acronym. We didn't make up the process of that. And I know the business owners that we talk to, that we know, they do that too.
Yeah, I mean,
other industries.
If anybody that's good at sales, anybody that's good at managing a relationship, you're going to need more than one conversation. We'll book a meeting from a meeting.
And I think if you just leave it out there, oh, I'll call you on Wednesday. It's like Wednesday's 24 hours, right? I mean, that's a lot. I mean, how do I know that they're going to be available when I call? So we're big on it. Specific date and specific time within 24 to 48 hours when we're talking to them. If it's somebody that we're working with, following up with, and things like that, if it's somebody like we were talking about a little bit ago, how maybe they're kind of in and out and stuff like that, we might Bam Fam a little bit later out.
Yeah, sometimes it might be some, hey, I've got this, and this, they're moving more slowly, whatever it is. But either way, we're getting our calendar out, and we're putting stuff in mind of theirs. It's almost a matter of a sign of respect. I respect you enough. You're important to me to get back on my calendar.
It's massive. Bam Fam is massive. And I think that I'm glad you brought that up, Beth, because I think a lot of people miss out on the specificity.
Yes, specificity.
Of setting that time. Now, you might be running late or whatever, that's fine, but having that written down is so important.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because most people know to do that with their clients. We're doing the seminars now and we're meeting with these clients, and a lot of these guys aren't going to pull the trigger on a $600,000 annuity on the first sit. And so, you're very conscious about Bam Famming your clients back into your calendar to write the application or to have that second conversation and to do all of those things. But a lot of times on the building side, we miss that piece of it because we're thinking, oh, these are just, these guys will answer my call anytime I call them and things like that. And it's I love hearing you talk about the importance of it because it's so easy to let that piece of it slide and just, you'll think about it later, and that later never comes.
We've had to teach our staff that. We have to teach agents that. We have to hold ourselves accountable to that. But yeah, the moment you stop doing that, progress gets bogged down. Yeah.
And I love that comment right there. Like, we teach ourselves, we teach our staff, we teach our agents. Like, there's always that level of education. And as you're growing your business, as you're becoming more business owners and you're hiring your staff and you're hiring a team of agents, it's that constant, let's get better, let's work on it together, that communication and learning the power of the things, the tools, the measurements that work. So, hey, one thing I just saw, Jennifer Daniels is getting another block of rooms available at the host hotel, the Grand Hyatt in Orlando. That link will be coming out later today. So those of you who are making that quality decision to get to Orlando for NBC, and you're like, I've got my ticket, but I haven't got my room. They were sold out. Be watching the events page. It'll come out to the managers. Managers will be doing their job and getting that information out to the team. But take action, because again, it's a block. There's a limit. So if you miss it the first time, don't miss it the second time. Take action now.
Yeah, absolutely. I since you brought up National Boot Camp and some other things that have happened this week coming out of family reunion, in case you're wondering, hey, is this having an impact? Tad Peterson and Chris Manifold had combined to do seminars, and they wrote their first annuity off of their paid-for seminar that was held at the end of May for $400,000, and the lady's going to get a second one for $200,000. So $400,000 in the hopper, $200,000 more going in the hopper. Alfonso Thomas had a $330,000 annuity get placed from one of his current clients. We've gone back to a couple of years later. It went through, but then he wrote another one yesterday for $110,000, and he's got another one that's out there that's about to be funded for $400,000. So 4 + 3 + 1, what's that? 5, about $800,000 annuity activity for the quarter for Alfonso. Marvin Osuna posted a note coming out of the conference and learning from the estate planning side. Let's see. Caesar and Sean just booked their first estate planning seminar in Southern California, so way to go. I think there's some money in Southern California, good place to do that, and they got a call to plan some things with Scott Garcia. So good stuff going on there. On the building side, here's another thing that we've seen happening. A number of people have been having text dial sessions or have been setting up Zoom business overview sessions. James and Pamela had one the other night. Jake is hosting one tonight with somebody, a couple they got 18 people confirmed to be in. I've got one with another agent, Tracy, who's been feeding us people this afternoon or late afternoon, and there's more of those happening. So if you've not taken the time to say, man, I know some people, would somebody get a few folks together for me? Or, hey, or if I get some people together, can you do it in a Zoom or can you do some one-on-ones? So either if you're a leader, are you encouraging people and giving the opportunity? Or if you're like, I know somebody, will somebody help me get in front and do a presentation? Yes, make sure you ask it. So anything else you know of, Adam or Beth, that you want to throw out before we wrap up?
No, I mean, it's look, the momentum coming off of this conference, the energy at the conference was through the roof. Coffee Anderson, Andy Albright, Mike Lewantowicz is teaching on the recruiting side, licensed and unlicensed agents. It was just phenomenal education. Those talks are going to be posted on the Video Vault. So, go back and rewatch them. There's things you missed while you were taking notes live. The beauty of it is you can go back and rewatch them. And if there was something that stood out to you, especially, point your team towards it as well. It's not the same as not being there, but making sure that you're accessing all the information is huge. And, and just stay plugged in. That's the biggest thing. The momentum that we have is good. What keeps it going is staying plugged in. TWCs, activity calls, product calls, all of those things that you have access to on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. And this is the activity call. It is activity that takes you where you want to go. So if you're like, I think I got this, but I struggle with that, ask somebody, get that coaching voice in your head who's going to help you get where you want to go. Thank you, Mike and Noelle, for the example of work that you all put to your team, to the alliance. The example that Andy and Jane Albright have set throughout the years of what work looks like and what happens when you build work upon work upon work upon work, that compounding effect. You ain't seen nothing yet until you have the compounding effect of good work.
Got that right.
Let's go. All right. See y'all later. Take care.
Thanks, guys.